Good morning. All right, so markets, we expected some back and forth uncertainty yesterday, and we got it for a while. And so we have a little saying, sometimes markets go up because they didn't go down. And yesterday was that one of those kind of days, as the markets have been up as much as they have near resistance. We talked about the middle of the month being a turning point, and you know, And so the markets gapped down early on yesterday and then just started this jiggling back and forth there until just about lunchtime. And, you know, it tried to go up. Of course, it tried to go down and, it retested the lows three times. And that tends to be a pretty good um, point. And, if it doesn't break down the third time and you do get a pattern, which, you got a little. Let me expand that a little bit to see it a little better here. See the little breakdown right there? And then it flips right back up again. And the breakdown is like you've got these multiple bars right there, and it breaks down and flips right back up again, which is going to get shorts to cover. And, so as this went up, and pretty strong trend, whether it's short covering or buying, still the enthusiasm based on, this upward move here. And notice the 200 MA is right lurking right above, and the Dow touched its 200 MA yesterday. But 43.27, give or take, 28, whatever, give or take, it's right there. So kind of maybe it's got to tag that. Media starts talking about about the 200 before some type of pullback begins, which would be normal. Just like this ran up, consolidated, and this pushes up, and you get some kind of pullback, and then we just see how far it pulls back. So one of the things that caught my eye yesterday, things started down, a pretty good amount of selling, but notice here, right? So this is the day-to-day breath that we see. And, during little consolidations on the way up, it's normal for the breath to be, neutral or even negative. And you can see over here, neutral, negative, over here as it consolidates, neutral, negative. But yesterday, as the market advanced, it was negative all day. And so you got a green bar advancing and breath that was barely positive. So just kind of like a bit of a warning sign. Now, this sentiment is still relatively high, up, 0.91. And what we want to see, as far as, another piece of information coming together that would, say, okay, we got a short-term high there, is option traders, going, like they like to say, all in, buying call options on a push up. And we still don't have that. Like over here, you can see it was relatively low, but that red line there is at 0.80. And during this whole advance, it's been above 0.80 and relatively high. So institutions have been, hedging or betting against this the whole way. And so yesterday, intraday, this was down below, what was around 0.80, give or take. It was down there. And then at the end of the day, again, it pushes up. So on a closing basis, and it doesn't have to happen, but it's one of the things that historically does happen. And you can see the moving average here just hasn't pushed up into the bands. So I think any day that things might push up and there was a lot of call buying and this pushes up here, we're going to get a sell signal. And maybe it's got to push through the 200 for that to happen. And we'll just see day to day. All right, so SPX I've got written down 43.30, 43.05, and maybe things have to push up a little bit to get a little more premium up there, but I think we want to be above that 200 MA. So we'll see if it pops up there. And so let's look at SPY. and just came down a little bit here a little while ago. 43 and a quarter. If you're comfortable there, Jacob, sure. I mean, things are starting down a little bit, but they started down yesterday and they advanced, and that moving average isn't that far away. You can see yesterday's open, on the spiders there, that gap down. We spoke about it that yesterday, that the gap down wasn't all that significant. It was still in the upper half, upper third of the green bar. So today, it's even a little less. Yeah, exactly. 42.35. Little safety, little measure of safety there. So you can see where it is here, and it's gapping down a little bit. No big deal at all as far as a negative gap down open. So could easily, push higher, but as always, we'll see. Things were pretty tight, yesterday. Late in the day there, a little bitty advance you can see on a 15-minute chart. 430 lurking up above, and of course 4,300, which will be a big level on the S&Ps. And yesterday we talked about this advance, how it created a void, and then how it would have to create support, which it did. And on the 5-minute, I showed you the three. I guess it was on something else, maybe on SPX. Oh, this is because it's got the 24-hour chart. There was the three pivots down there. So here you can see on the 15 pivot, and then it made this pivot to higher low. And the idea is that when there's a void, you look for whatever it is you're trading or looking at, that it creates support, because this strong move doesn't create any support on the way up. And so once it creates a pivot, it gives you a reference point to trade against. Is there significance to early gap down versus opposite? I don't know. There's different influences. I don't know, Thane. And you know what? As it goes up, and there's some selling in the morning. So, look, yesterday, you never know what it's going to do one way to the other. That's the reality. But here, look here. It gapped up, it sold off, and it went higher. So here's this enthusiasm after a pullback, and we would say that that's normal. And then institutions, traders buy the pullback into minor support or whatever that happened inside that day. Now here, as it moves up and you get a bar that closes at or near its high after a run up like that, that's always suspect. After multiple days up, for it to close at the high. You can see here, this one closed at the high after several days up, and pullback started. Just too much bullish action, another way of saying, no hesitation, no fear. And so, the gap down, I wrote about this in the letter, that it would be better for the markets to pull back a bit with a day like this, rather than this kind of enthusiasm. If it gapped up, you're getting closer to a pullback or a short-term high, because there's just too much bullishness. So the gap downs show a slight amount of fear, a hesitation to sell, take whatever profits at the open. And ultimately, look, you got to get a red bar. And part of what we do, part of our method is, what's our first reference point of support in anything that we look at? And that's a prior day's low. And so yesterday, prices didn't even come near a prior day's low. So here, it broke a prior day's low, but couldn't push down through this little shelf here. So as prices go up, here's the low there. No break, no break, no break, no break, a break. Now this started the move, and it could have pulled back further. It gaps up from a red bar. Well, that's bullish. Up, 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 breaks a prior day's low. Doesn't pull back. Correction sideways. We spoke about this. Bullish price action, sideways versus pullback. Now over here, it gaps up. No break of a prior day's low. Red bar, no break of a prior day's low. Closes at the high. And so there's little to no correction, which opens up the door, to a bigger void and a pullback. And now it's coming up here near this topping tail and the whole number. And we see, we look at the market internals and, I looked at, they're not in alignment yet. Most of the time they do. And that's why I'm saying we'd like to see this, excessive call buying on one day and have more confidence that not only is it going to break a prior day's low, it's going to pull back even further. And now, there's an unfilled gap down here. So, again, day to day, I mean, that's how I'm reading this, is that if it was to gap up in this situation, not a just blanket concept, so to speak, of, what's a topping tail and a bottoming tail, is that, look, gapping down is kind of a good thing versus in this situation, gapping up versus here gapping up. This is not so positive where this is. And you think about it from the psychology of what traders are doing and patterns and all that, it all starts to just make common sense. But you got to think about it in that way versus thinking about, how everybody's inundated with indicators type of stuff, because you never get to this kind of mindset if you're looking at MACDs and stochastics and clouds to try and make sense out of the price action. We're trying to make sense or understand what institutions are thinking, right? And what they will likely think if something changes. All right, so S&P's inside day, 200 MA right up here, so far consolidating, creating support, still relatively bullish price action. But momentum is stalling, candle body is small versus large. So again, prior day's low. Will it break a prior day's low? And NASDAQ. And so most of the FANG stocks, and then like yesterday, they were correcting. If you go and look at them, and then all of a sudden late in the day, as the markets moved up a little bit, the only one that was really moving up was Microsoft. And so things are getting tired. It's just normal. And then, we're just going to have to see how much things really pull back, and what triggers it. But so far, just marching ahead. It's that resistance, and what'll get them to start selling? Again, you never know. But look, I'm just looking at as we come into, we're at the middle of the month. So, whether it's today, tomorrow, or on the 18th or whatever, and the end of the week, we're looking for a turn, and the price action getting short-term extended supports that, and then we'll just see how far it pulls back. All right, so the Dow is right here, and these are the Dow futures, and if we look at the INDU, maybe it closed at above the 200. I could put the 200 on here and see what the actual number. Pick the right moving average. Green. All right. And I picked the last one, the 200. So 33,897. Close was 33,912. So it didn't close above it, but it's right there. It pushed above it. Whatever. It's just a line that we put on the chart. So if I change it to exponential, this is a simple, maybe it'll close above. I'm saying that to reinforce the subjectivity of moving averages. But we use them. Transports, hovering right there, rejection. VIX, just going down the line here. A week or so talked about it getting under 20. So look, if we get one more spurt up, we get that option call buying, VIX pushes down a little lower here. Just looking for everything to come together, which so far it's just not there yet. The Russell, up above the 200. Yesterday, just a little narrow bar there today. It's had a heck of a run. 3 pivot highs. So selling there. Trend is up, but here V-top and pullback. V-top, pullback. Now we got a rounding top So supply is increasing. Right, Bitcoin, right, got rejected yesterday. And this has been something we've been talking about as to it hasn't participated, which is a disconnect from what it was. So will it bring up the rear? Is it going back down? So topping tail last week, now a wider range topping tail bar that took out the highs and it got sold into. It's trading under the low, but we need to see something more significant. So again, keep an eye on that, or not, don't keep an eye on it, just set an alert under like this area here and see if it breaks. Because if it does, and it starts going down, we see if things start to reconnect again. And look, those that are into the Bitcoin and thinking, remember it was back here, oh, it's on its way to $100,000 and whatever. And now the market's having advanced like they have, and notice they bottomed at the same time. This bottomed at the same time. So whether you're looking at Bitcoin or whether you were looking at your favorite stock, and the markets have run up into resistance, and we're coming into a seasonal weak period, you got to be thinking, hey, this thing that I thought was going to go up didn't, and risk is increasing. That if others go down, this is going to go down, and it's kind of starting to form a sell setup here. And so a break of a prior week's low, just like we look at a prior day's low, and we say, oh, just because it break a prior day's low, the next question is, well, where's the prior swing low or congestion? And we see it's right here versus having a void. So if this breaks over here, it's going to break a prior weekly low, and after popping above the prior highs here, I think that's going to create a little bit of a panic for these Bitcoiners. So set an alert. Crude oil, I'm thinking, is going to go up. And I know it's in a downtrend and it's under its 200, but it poked down here. I want to see what it does today. I think if it trades above a prior bar's high, it's going to start some kind of a reversal, and that would be in alignment with, hey, restoking those inflation fears. So keep an eye on that. And I'm just curious, XLE, that's hanging there pretty darn good for oil coming down like it did, especially on that gap down. So it's interesting. Now, silver and gold are pulling back again, and talk about intermarket relationships. You see them pulling back. The first thing you want to look at is the dollar, and look at the dollar, moving up. Before, the markets didn't like that, and so we talked about this pulling back to support, to keep an eye on this. And lastly, if I turn it over to Dan, look at the 3-month. Now, I know, this doesn't trade that actively pre-market, whatever, but it's just been grinding up here. And now the 3-month yield is pushing higher, right? Market is saying, Fed, you better come through, because we're just going to keep pushing this thing up until you raise interest rates. I don't know if anyone's watching, I think he was on CNBC, that's usually this Jeremy Siegel. There's always somebody's got a different bent on things. And he talked about the interest rates coming down as much as they have. I think he meant historically. And now here's a new opinion that the Fed doesn't have to raise interest rates as much as others think to get inflation under control. So, these are the markets. People have different perspectives. But we'll see. I just look at what does the market think, and it's based on this move up above these highs, and saying, the cumulative knowledge out there is saying, Fed, you better keep raising those interest rates. You don't know if it's an ascending triangle or a bearish flag. On what? On Bitcoin? Ascending, first of all, is it an uptrend or a downtrend? That's to
I
your
think it
price.
means that 13 month. It's kind of an ascending triangle.
Is what, Dan?
That 13 week looks like an ascending triangle. So maybe that's what he's talking about.
I don't know. It's in an uptrend. It's going sideways. I don't know. I don't think in angles pretty much. I just horizontal like this. He's not telling me whether he's just saying shallow counter trend move. I don't know. Shallow counter trend move, you could say, is a bear flag. Anyway, call it whatever you want. If it's in a downtrend and it can't go up and it's showing relative weakness, odds are it's going to go down. So take it over, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, we've been very selective on new longs. I've been calling it, musical chairs whenever we get this reversal because it's just not low risk getting on board things now. So all our opens are fine. I forgot to scan marijuana yesterday, but look at this big old bottoming pattern. I meant in the green room, just scan my directory. There's not many actually anymore in light of so many going out of business, but let's do that today. Albo, nasty gap down here. I think it might be a pharmaceutical though. And earnings, we're coming the tail end of earnings, but a lot of low priced ones yesterday after the bell and this morning. This Maggle recent IPO, we'll keep an eye on it. Let it settle down more. Look at NU, it's been in a trading range. Look at that. Now it's a gap breakout. Target, I don't know, 650. So let's keep an eye on NU. I'm going to put in a window. NU. Disney, an activist, has been going after them, but no pattern. Frizza, another IPO. Gap breakout. We'll watch it over the next few days. IONQ. I don't know why I'm looking at this. Maybe the weekly, but it needs a pullback. Zoom got a downgrade. 108. I prefer a gap in the 105. That'd be more of a shock, but let's watch 30-minute low, maybe call spread, snow downgrade. I like this one better. Because it's more extended, gapping under this green bar. All right, so snow is on my list for a bear call credit spread. This other computer. Nerdy. Another bottoming stock, nice double bottom right there on the weekly. Foxtrot November. I forget if these are earnings or why I have them here. That's a bearish gap comp. I'll delete you. Go co gapping down. A zip 19 and change. That's a bearish gap, of course, but kind of too big for me for a day trade short. FXLV, another $2 stock, no interest. GAN 3.6. Wow, that's a shock. But look at it gapping under both of these bars. But I'm not going to be shorting a $3 stock myself. T-Dot, see all these low price ones, 322. So maybe 30-minute high on that. I have a couple stocks here that Berkshire Hathaway said they were doing stuff with. Verizon, he actually said he's dumping it, but that's a nice double bottom now. Momentum moved down, less than a third thing, retracement. That ain't bad at all. 30-minute high, put spread. Oh, earnings here, the two biggies, Walmart. We were talking about selling a out of the money put into earnings, and it just wasn't juicy enough for me, but I did make the statement in the green room. I did not think we would gap under this in light of the pre-market release. And then, you know, the rally, look at this, it's now gapping over. Greg, crazy price, it's gapping to the 200.
Gaps happen.
No, but I'm saying fundamentally, and here was the crater from the profit warning. And now it's back to the 200, like that, like it didn't exist. They come out and say our profit margins are down 12%. And that caused that. It's just crazy price action. I don't get it. Oh, but the other one, Home Depot, we did sell a put in. We did the 285s into earnings. I forget if we did 285 or 280. I think I did them both actually. So it is gapping down a little bit, but I guarantee you we're gonna have a profit because this strategy is the gap against you is not going to be as big as a volatility crash. So I'll tell you all in the green room where these premiums are at the open. And then I saw Costco up this morning, I guess, on the news of a Walmart. That's a nice bullish gap. That's going in a window right here. So Buffett said he was adding to, or not to say it's past tense, it's the 13F filing. So these are all past tense. He added to General Motors. I have no idea where. Charlie Echo, bottoming pattern. We'll keep an eye on it. Alley, he was buying. That's a nice gap from bottoming pattern. Let's keep an eye on selling the $35 puts down here at the 50 MA. I have that in the bottom right. Water, it's 600,000, but it trades very, very weird. All right, XNet had earnings. I actually nibbled on this into the close. That's doing, actually, if we got a 1, 2, 3, that would be fantastic for tomorrow. ARE extended, no pattern. These are a couple earnings here. Jenny, $5. Now see, that's a Climo. So that could be a gap in crap. Ennox gapping down $15. No pattern, but actually it's a buy on a pullback. That's gotta put that on my weekly list. Grammy, we have naked puts in IIPR, so I'm not sure what you're asking me now. Had a nice bullish close from this kind of triple bottom, if you will. All right, snow, remember, it's on my call list. All right, Home Depot, let's see where these premiums are. They aren't adjusted yet. They're still yesterday's closing price. But I guarantee you with 99% confidence, we're gonna have a nice open game. All right, yeah, I'm short both the 285s and 280s in two different accounts myself. No pattern, LFG. Oh, I think that was another ad by Buffett, same with JBI. So look at this, you know, Buffett, you know, I don't know what his traders do. His traders could be smart in accumulating here. And now the 13F comes out and these freaking idiots in the stock market. Oh, Buffett's been buying it. Let me buy too. Yeah, 285 puts on Home Depot or 5 cents. So I said bid a penny to get out, but if you want to bid a nickel to get out too, that's fine. All right, NU, I said was on my list. That's but gap's too big. Alpha November up alarm. We have a Condor. Wow, Home Depot's negating that gap down. My gosh. Actually, McGraw, I'm gonna bid the 292.50s to get a free put spread as we do. If I get filled, of course, but the bid is 3 cents. So I'm trying like that trade review we did, chart of the week. All right, Alpha November, we're actually break even right now. You know what? It's acting a tad more bullish. Let's go ahead and kill this thing, break even. 168. Just because it's another month out. I mean, it should be fine, but Alley bottom right is giving it up.